What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got a video for you guys. Slow day at the shop, so I figured we'd break out some machines and tune them up. And I'm like, man, let's tell the people about what I think about coil versus rotary when it comes to lining. So I'm going to show you guys some machines. We're going to get into it. I'm going to tell you why I like the one that I like. That's a little bit of a surprise because it came to me as a surprise when I found out the machine that I like to line with was so good, because I was always like, nah. But whatever. Today I'm going to give you guys a bird's eye view on my thoughts when it comes to lining with coils and lining with rotaries and which one I like better. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into that, guys. Let's get to it. Okay guys, so here I have about five machines, and a grip. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit about these machines and which one I pick up every single day to do my lines with. The one I'm gonna grab every time I have to do some lines without even thinking about it, right? So first I'm gonna tell you what these machines are, which ones are rotary, which ones are coil, for those who don't know and are trying to learn about it, and just to get that off the record. So this machine right here is a cheaper machine. This is my first machine. This is a CNC Q2 pen style rotary machine. RCA, takes cartridges, pop a cartridge in, pop a power supply or a battery, wrap it up and go. It was my first machine. It's got I want to say a 3.5 millimeter stroke, and it was only $180. They sell them on Amazon and various other tattoo supply stores. At the time I wasn't working in a shop when I got this machine, so I had no choice but to buy it on Amazon. But this machine right here served its purpose. It's actually a really good machine for $180. That's why I bought it. Everyone else said it was a good machine and I took their word for it. And for $180, it's held up. It still works great. I haven't done nothing, no lubricating, which I heard you need to do and stuff like that. I ended up getting a nicer machine, but every now and then I bust it out for old time's sake. It was my first machine. Okay, so rotary pen style machine. Here we have a coil. This is a Safari. I bought a kit and I put it together. I built this one all myself. So you load it up with a tube and a grip and a traditional style needle and then a clip cord. Here is another coil. This is also a Safari. Mind you, these are both lining machines. I should have mentioned that when I was talking about this, but they're lining machines. So they have a shorter stroke because coil machines have shorter strokes and rotaries have longer strokes for lining. But it's same thing, traditional style, tube vise, grommet and a needle, and then a clip cord. And then moving on to the other two rotaries that I own. This is the Cheyenne Solterra. It's got a push rod. That's where you plug your cord in. It's a 3.5 jack. And then you gotta buy this grip, which goes on right here like that, and cartridges go in there and you tattoo like that. So this is also another rotary with the 4 millimeter stroke right here. And this is also an older Cheyenne, the Cheyenne Hawk Spirit, which only has a 2.5 millimeter stroke. It's more of a shading machine, but I'll get to the reason why it's in the video here in a little bit. So moving on from machines, right? Like I said, this was my first machine. I used it for about a year. Got some pretty good results out of it. All around a good machine. Moving on, this was my second, which, like I said, it's a shading machine. It's got a 2.5 millimeter stroke. So the reason I bought this is because I do a lot of black and gray work, and it has a real soft hit, so it's good for layering up those soft shades, right? I used it for a few months. Great machine. Here we have the Cheyenne Solterra. So after I bought this Cheyenne, they released the newer versions. And since I already had the shading machine, I went ahead and bought the liner of the Solterra. So this is a 4 millimeter stroke lining machine. It has a lot harder of a hit, right? So with all that being said, let's talk about these two machines, right? This was my first machine. It's just in the video because I wanted to share to you that I have used pen style machines. And so we'll get to that in a second. When I got this machine, right? Shading machine. First couple tattoos, it just really impressed me. I lined with it from sevens, threes, fives, and sevens, even nines a few times here and there. And I had no issues. It lined just fine. And shaded even better. It shaded amazing, right? So I used it for a while, and then I got this machine. And this machine hits a lot harder, so I could line with it from sevens all the way to 14s without a problem. That's about as big as I've ever really went. And it works. Now with these two machines, one thing I did notice, and this machine, is it was hard for me to line. Even though I was getting good results, I was uncomfortable. I wasn't always sure. And when you're lining, you want to be sure, because that's the best way to get results, is to go into it confident. Well, I felt like sometimes I just wasn't that sure. I was having a hard time figuring out exactly how to get the lines to be perfect every time. And getting this one with the harder hit did help that, but it was still just every now and then I would get the one odd line and be like, man, what's going on, right? So whatever. And this was in my apprenticeship, this was going on, right? So, you know, when you're trying to learn how to line, it's not easy. Having a good machine will really help. So my boss did a tattoo on me, right? And he had a Safari, a Coil machine, which is one of these, right? And he was putting in the lines effortlessly. And he told me, he's like, man, get a Coil machine and try lining with it. So I did. I got this machine right here. Mind you, this machine was $600. This grip for it is $200. So right there, that's $800 for a liner. This machine was $400. The grip for it was $200, so that's another $600. Those machines are really, really expensive. This machine was 380 bucks. Came just like this, out the box, ready to run, for $380. I think I spent $20 more on a clip cord, and that was it, right? So I started trying to work with these, and I noticed that when I lined with this machine in particular, I had no issues. Yeah, it's a little awkward, it's kind of heavy up here, especially me starting out with these and these. I skipped the Coil phase, right? And I started with Rotary. Well, when I went to the Coil, which I thought I would never use because the rotaries are just so advanced these days, I couldn't believe the results I was getting with lining. And that's when I started to realize maybe these old-fashioned machines that everybody's sticking to are popular for a reason, right? I started doing some research, and one thing that I found out that really was a little confusing to me is that for a Coil machine, that gap in between the contact screw right here and the spring is your stroke. So if you see, it's just a little bit. It's a dime's worth of gap right there. You could fit a dime in that little gap. And that's how far your needle's traveling back and forth. So it reminds me of a short stroke for a shading machine with the Rotary. And I was wondering, how am I getting such good lines with such a short stroke? And that's when I found out for Coil machines, for lining, you need a short stroke because your needle is going up and down. That ink is flowing really fast. It needs to be able to catch up with it and to go fast enough with it and other things like that. So it was real confusing to me how this lining machine has a 4mm stroke, and then this lining machine has basically a 2mm stroke, but this one was putting the lines in better for me. So that's when I realized that the difference between rotaries and coils was not just shape, size, and weight and stuff like that. The actual physical application into the skin of ink is just completely different. So for me, the reason I'm making this video is because once I started lining with Coil machines, I never line with these ever again. I don't do it because I get way better results. I learned now how to use this for lining, and I get way better results, right? So with that being said, I just feel like these rotaries, they don't really hit hard enough to actually float the needle on the skin. With the rotaries, I find if I do find myself lining with them, I'm more setting the needle in the skin and slowly applying the ink. As if with a Coil machine, I could just float the skin and the lines in. It's a lot easier. So I think these rotaries just don't hit really hard as they say they do. And I find that doing color and shading with the rotaries is what I'll do. So if I go to do a tattoo for say, right, like a portrait, I can use the rotary for the whole portrait because it's black and gray work. But say I'm doing traditional or any color work or neo-traditional or anything like that, maybe lettering, I'll hook up the lining machine and I'll bust out the lines and they'll be perfect. And then I'll hook up this machine, which was made for lines, and I'll do the shading of the color because this one hits a little harder than this one. It'll get it in there nice and fast and solid. And that's how I've been doing my tattoos ever since. So when I started out, I was anti-coil. I thought that this was new and advanced technology and I would stick with it forever. And I just thankfully, my boss told me to try a coil machine. I tried it and it worked out. And now I know that lining with coil is a lot easier. So for the beginners, and everyone's telling you, oh, go to Rotary, it's made for beginners, you don't have to tune it and all that. This machine I got just like this out of the box. I haven't tuned it once. They tune it for you over there at Workhorse Irons. They're amazing. So yeah, eventually it might need some tuning, but I've been watching videos and I got it, but whatever. I've been using it ever since for about 6 months right out of the box and haven't tuned it once. I mean, it's not that difficult, especially if you have somebody to help you tune the machine, then you get to learn, because that's part of tattooing. You got to learn stuff, and I think that this is something everybody should do. So don't do what I did and skip the coil and go straight to the rotary thinking it's going to be easy. If you're a beginner and you're struggling, by all means, if you're getting lines with these machines, great, perfect lines, stick to it, because they are easy. You don't tune them, you use cartridges, everything about it's easy. But if you're struggling with your lines, I highly advise you to pick up a coil machine, a quality coil machine, and start messing with it, because you'll find that lining with the coil machines is much easier than lining with the rotaries. And that might not be for everybody, but that is for me, and that's why I'm sharing this video with you guys, because like I said, I never would have picked this up if somebody hadn't told me, hey man, you need to try it out. And I did, and now I'll never line with the rotary again. I line with the coil machines, and then I set up the rotary and I do my color and my shading. And yeah, that's my conclusion on lining with rotary or coil. I would choose coil by far. And I started with rotaries and I lined with the rotaries for a lot longer than I have with the coils. And for the 6 months I've been using the coils, I'm just absolutely mind blown at how much I've progressed. So it just tells me, man, be open-minded. Don't be naive and, I'm never gonna use coils because rotaries are so advanced and expensive. That's the thing, man, coils are cheap. You're paying less for better work. You gotta pay a lot of money for these coils to be lining weird, right? So that's my advice, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you do like the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna be doing some fake skin tutorials. I'm gonna show you exactly what we just talked about in the next video. I'm gonna do some lines with the lining rotary, and I'm gonna do some lines with the shading rotary, and then I'm gonna do some lines with the coil, and I'm gonna show you guys how that looks like. And we might do like a rose tutorial or something, just some videos. But yeah, guys, if you did like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think if you have or have not tried lining with rotary machines. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. So I'm gonna tune out with that. Peace.